Now, Netflix says its profits have soared in the first 3 months of the year, partly thanks to a crackdown on password sharing, as well as the drumbeat of new hits, including dramas, Griselda. The streaming platform says it's added over 9 million customers in the first quarter, bringing its total number of subscribers now to almost 270 million. Joining me now to discuss this and other tech stories of the day, TalkTV's tech correspondent Will Guyatt is with us. Have you seen Griselda, Will?
I've not. I've watched The Gentleman. That's about the most recent thing I've seen on Netflix. But those numbers are incredible when you consider the number of people who were obviously clearly mooching passwords off of other people. I know you've recently had to subscribe. Now you can't borrow your uncle's Netflix subscription.
Well, having two little kids in the house who want to watch different things, that seemed to be the catalyst for that. I always thought you could use your own password in your own house on as many devices as you liked. But even that's not the case, right?
Depending on which subscription you've purchased. If you buy one of the more expensive ones, not the $4.99 one, you should be able to have up to 4 devices in your home on one IP address, so on your network in your particular home. But they really have started cracking down. I mean, a really good example, I don't mind admitting it, we've just had to subscribe my dad after all these years because he's decided he wants to keep watching certain stuff that's on the platform. What happens after this, though, Ian, is the interesting question, because they can obviously report a big leap in subscriptions in this quarter. But once these people have joined, or people have decided they're joining or not joining, where's the additional growth going to come from?
Well, that's a very good point, isn't it? And streaming services, of course, are really trying to battle this. I don't know whether, and this is largely a separate point, but is the quality of, I mean, you've got streaming services, you like to watch reruns of Heartbeat, I get that, and I'm sure it's great fun.
Big fan of Greengrass.
Greengrass, even better. But in terms of growth of the very things they stand for, making good, imaginative programs, you get a conversation going in the workplace, and most people will continue to name the same 4 or 5 shows that they watch. Have you seen it? And then you wait another couple of months, and then The Gentleman comes along or something like that. These things aren't coming out daily.
No, and that's the challenge, and people are increasingly fickle. And because you aren't tied up to a 12-month contract like you might have been with Sky or a kind of a TV platform back in the day, people are kind of coming and going, and they're coming back in when something they might want to watch has launched. And you can probably hear my puppy barking in the background, so apologies in advance for that. But yeah, people keep coming and going from these platforms. They're very cyclical, and that's the challenge. And Netflix have also announced they're going to stop announcing monthly active users. That's something that loads of these tech companies are doing now. Now numbers seem to be quietening down in terms of growth. They always used to talk about just how quickly their platforms are growing, but it seems that we might be going into a little bit of a slowdown of growth for some of these platforms.
We will we'll watch with interest on that. Let's move to this story, Will. I mean, really disturbing this, I think. Nearly a quarter of UK kids aged between 5 and 7 now have their own smartphone. Now,
horrendous.
This is a bit of a live debate. You and I have talked about this before. I've got a 10-year-old who certainly doesn't have a smartphone. He has an iPad that he can watch stuff on, and for no other purpose, like the aforementioned Netflix or Disney, etc. I don't know what the right age is. I'm told 11 or 12 is about normal. Whether it's right is another issue. But I think we can all agree a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old should not have a smartphone.
It's staggering. I agree with you completely. You shouldn't give a 5 or a 6-year-old a smartphone. There's absolutely no reason why. And what's really getting my goat at the moment is the government seems to be blaming tech companies. Schools and educators seem to be blaming tech companies. At no stage in this year are parents taking any responsibility. The tech company does not put the smartphone in your hand. Mark Zuckerberg does not drive around your house and download WhatsApp onto a device for you. You're involved in making these decisions. And I know that there's peer pressure, and I know that there are issues. And as a parent of a 5-year-old who often asks us why they can't have a tablet or a device all of the time, I know that those challenges exist. But no 5 to 7-year-old should have a smartphone of their own. Access to a tablet at certain times and certain points, yes, but not unrestricted access and not 24/7 access.
Some might say, just to look at this another way round, Will, that actually A 5-year-old with a smartphone is actually okay because all they're going to do is look at whatever you've put on it for them. They're not going to be joining Instagram. They wouldn't know how to write. They haven't got any passwords. They can't look at the internet. They can only look at whatever the parent has given them. So oddly, sounds like a sensational headline, 5-year-olds have smartphones, but they're arguably the safest group to have, probably safer than a 12-year-old with a smartphone.
Let's break this down slightly. I know we haven't got much time, but there's been this huge consternation, right, that WhatsApp's dropped from 16 to 13 as the age limit. If you actually interrogate the younger people, the kids who are using this stuff, Nominet, the company that runs the .uk part of the internet, they do this thing called the Digital Youth Index every year. They survey kids from 8 to 26. In their survey last year, when it had the age limit of 16 and above, 56% of those under the age of 16 surveyed said they had a WhatsApp account. And as I said to you at the start, Mark Zuckerberg does not drive around your house and install that on your phone. Parents are willingly involved somewhere within that process, either giving the kids the password to download apps as they see fit or enabling it for them.
Let's move on to a fascinating story about ChatGPT doctors, which according to some research are better than real human doctors. What's going on, Will?
Well, this kind of fills me with terror, but it also is an interesting discussion to have after my very own dear mum spent 36 hours waiting for an A&E bed over the Easter holidays in the West Country. She'd been waiting to get access to get a service. So anything that speeds up the NHS, Ian, I'm increasingly thinking might be a good idea. And this is a piece of research. It's a small, very niche piece of research, which suggests that GPT-4, which is the latest version of the tech behind ChatGPT, is essentially better at answering questions about specialist eye conditions than some general doctors.
So it's not as if someone's gone into a sort of a lab, like one of those Amazon shops with nobody in it. There's not an optician's with nobody in it where someone's gone in, looked into a computer and it said, oh yeah, you've got a cataract situation. It's not that. It's testing the intelligence of the system in terms of responding to some fundamental questions about healthcare.
Yeah, so people are asking it questions about eye problems, and it's coming back with more detailed and defined advice and actually correct advice than some GPs are able to do. And this comes on the back. Yesterday, there was some research which suggested that thanks to artificial intelligence, there's some big Parkinson's research and some work that's going on into Parkinson's. Machine learning and artificial intelligence has sped up that research by at least 10 years as a result of being able to use artificial intelligence. So there are some big plays to be had with this stuff. We talk about the dangers of it all the time, and even I can be slightly doom laden and say it will cost people's jobs, but there's actually going to be some benefits coming from this tech, and it's coming very soon.
Yeah, and that will move into the surgical world as well as the diagnosis world as well, is where the smart money says. Listen, Will, have a cracking weekend. We will speak again next week. That's Will Guyatt, our tech correspondent, with us here on TalkTV.